The world of Dragon Ball was once again on the brink of chaos, as whispers of a new, unimaginable threat began to spread across the universe. The once defeated tyrant, Frieza, had somehow returned, but this time, he was not alone. Through a sinister alliance with the bioengineered android, Cell, the two villains had discovered a way to merge their powers, creating a being of unparalleled destruction. The fusion of Frieza and Cell, now known as Frieza Cell, was a grotesque yet terrifyingly powerful entity, combining Frieza's cunning and ruthlessness with Cell's adaptability and perfection-seeking nature. Their goal was clear: to dominate the universe and eradicate all who stood in their way, starting with the Saiyans who had thwarted them in the past. Meanwhile, on Earth, Goku and his friends were enjoying a rare moment of peace. The Z fighters had grown stronger over the years, but the scars of past battles still lingered. Goku, ever the optimist, continued to train relentlessly, pushing the limits of his Super Saiyan transformations. His son, Gohan, had taken a step back from fighting to focus on his studies and family, while Vegeta, ever the rival, trained with a burning desire to surpass Goku. The peace, however, was short-lived. A sudden surge of energy from deep space caught Goku's attention, and he immediately knew something was wrong. The energy felt familiar yet twisted, as if two malevolent forces had merged into one. Without hesitation, Goku gathered the Z fighters, warning them of the impending danger. As the team prepared for battle, the sky above Earth darkened, and a massive spaceship descended, casting an ominous shadow over the land. From within emerged Frieza Cell, their combined form radiating an aura of pure malice. The fusion's appearance was a horrifying blend of Frieza's sleek, reptilian features and Cell's insectoid design, with glowing red eyes that seemed to pierce through the soul. Their voice, a chilling mix of Frieza's cold arrogance and Cell's calculated menace, echoed across the battlefield as they declared their intent to destroy all life. The Z fighters stood their ground, but even they could feel the overwhelming power emanating from the fused villain. The battle began with a flurry of attacks, as Goku and Vegeta charged at Frieza Cell with blinding speed. Goku unleashed a barrage of punches and kicks, each strike infused with the power of Super Saiyan Blue, while Vegeta countered with his signature Gallic Gun, a beam of purple energy that tore through the air. Frieza Cell, however, was unfazed. With a smirk, they effortlessly dodged Goku's attacks and deflected Vegeta's energy blast with a flick of their wrist. The fusion then retaliated with a devastating energy wave, forcing the Saiyans to retreat. Goku and Vegeta exchanged a glance, realizing that their usual tactics would not be enough. As the fight intensified, Gohan and Piccolo joined the fray, their combined strength adding to the Z fighters' assault. Gohan, tapping into his latent potential, transformed into his ultimate form, his aura blazing with power. Piccolo, using his strategic mind, launched a series of energy discs aimed at Frieza Cell's weak points. The fusion, however, proved to be a formidable opponent, countering every move with precision and brute force. Frieza Cell's tail lashed out, striking Piccolo and sending him crashing into the ground, while their energy blasts forced Gohan to defend with a barrier of pure energy. Desperate to turn the tide, Goku decided to push beyond his limits. Channeling all his energy, he began to transform, his hair turning silver as his body grew larger and more muscular. The transformation was unlike anything the Z fighters had seen before. Goku had become a silver great ape, a form that combined the raw power of the Oozaru with the refined energy of a Super Saiyan. His eyes glowed with a fierce determination as he roared, the ground shaking beneath him. Frieza Cell, momentarily taken aback, quickly regained their composure and launched a massive energy sphere at the silver great ape. Goku, however, absorbed the attack with ease, his newfound strength allowing him to withstand even the most devastating blows. The battle reached its climax as Goku, now in his silver great ape form, clashed with Frieza Cell in a series of earth-shattering exchanges. Each punch and kick sent shockwaves across the battlefield, the sheer force of their attacks creating craters in the ground. Goku's tail whipped around, striking Frieza Cell with enough force to send them flying, but the fusion quickly recovered, retaliating with a barrage of energy blasts. The Z fighters could only watch in awe as the two titans fought, their power levels escalating with each passing moment. As the fight raged on, Goku began to feel a strange sensation, as if his body was reaching a new level of understanding. The silver great ape form was just the beginning, he could feel the potential for something greater, something beyond even Super Saiyan Blue. With a final, desperate effort, Goku unleashed all his energy, his body glowing with a blinding light as he began to ascend once more. The transformation was complete. Goku had achieved Super Saiyan 10, a form that combined the primal strength of the great ape with the divine energy of a Super Saiyan god. His hair turned a radiant silver, and his aura pulsed with an otherworldly power. Frieza Cell, now facing a truly formidable opponent, unleashed their full power, their body glowing with a dark, malevolent energy. The two warriors charged at each other, their fists colliding with a force that shook the very fabric of reality. The battle was far from over, but Goku's newfound strength gave the Z fighters a glimmer of hope. As the dust settled and the two combatants prepared for their next move, the fate of the universe hung in the balance. The stage was set for an epic showdown, one that would test the limits of power, courage, and sacrifice. The battlefield trembled as Frieza and Cell, now fused into a single, monstrous entity, loomed over the Z fighters with an aura of pure malice. Their combined power radiated like a storm, crackling with energy that distorted the air around them. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and the others stood their ground, their faces etched with determination, but even they could feel the overwhelming pressure of their new foe. The fused being, a grotesque amalgamation of Frieza's cunning and Cell's perfection, sneered as it flexed its claws, its voice a chilling blend of both villains. "You insects thought you could defeat us? Now you'll witness true power," it roared, its energy flaring as it charged forward with blinding speed. Goku was the first to react, his body surging with golden energy as he transformed into a Super Saiyan god. He met the fused villain head-on, their fists colliding in a shockwave that shattered the ground beneath them. The impact sent Goku skidding backward, but he quickly recovered, his eyes narrowing as he analyzed his opponent's movements. "This guy's fast," Goku muttered, his voice tense. "But we've faced worse." He launched himself back into the fray, his movements a blur as he unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks, each strike aimed at testing the limits of the fused being's defenses. Frieza's Cell countered with equal ferocity, its tail whipping through the air like a blade, forcing Goku to dodge and weave with precision. Vegeta, meanwhile, had transformed into his Super Saiyan Blue evolution form, his aura blazing with intensity. "Kakarot, don't hog all the fun," he barked, joining the fight with a devastating energy blast that forced Frieza's Cell to retreat momentarily. The Prince of Saiyan smirked as he pressed the attack, his fists glowing with energy as he unleashed a barrage of Gallic gun blasts. Frieza's Cell, however, was not so easily overwhelmed. It raised its hand, creating a barrier of energy that absorbed Vegeta's attacks before retaliating with a massive death beam that tore through the ground, forcing Vegeta to leap into the air to avoid it. "TCH, not bad," Vegeta admitted grudgingly, his eyes narrowing as he prepared for another assault. Gohan, now in his ultimate form, joined the fray alongside Piccolo, their teamwork as seamless as ever. "We need to find a way to separate them," Gohan shouted, his voice urgent as he dodged a swipe from Frieza's Cell's tail. Piccolo nodded, his arms crossed as he charged a special beam cannon. "Distract him, Gohan," Piccolo ordered, his voice calm but firm. Gohan obeyed, his movements precise as he unleashed a flurry of energy blasts that forced Frieza's Cell to focus on him. The fused villain laughed, its voice dripping with mockery. "You think your pitiful attacks can harm me?" it sneered, swatting away Gohan's blasts with ease. But in that moment of distraction, Piccolo unleashed his attack, the special beam cannon piercing through the air with deadly accuracy. Frieza's Cell roared in pain as the attack struck its shoulder, but it quickly recovered, its body regenerating the damage almost instantly. "Foolish Namekian," it spat, its tail lashing out and striking Piccolo with enough force to send him crashing into the ground. As the battle raged on, Goku and Vegeta found themselves pushed to their limits. Frieza's Cell's power seemed almost insurmountable, its attacks growing more ferocious with each passing moment. Goku, panting heavily, glanced at Vegeta. "We need to try something new," he said, his voice strained but determined. Vegeta nodded, his expression grim. "Agreed. But we'll need to push beyond what we've done before." The two Saiyans exchanged a brief nod before stepping back, their auras flaring as they prepared to unleash their full power. Goku's body began to change, his golden hair shifting to a radiant silver as his muscles bulged with newfound strength. This was no ordinary transformation, this was the legendary Super Saiyan 10, a form that even the gods feared. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as he rose into the air, his energy surging like a tidal wave. Vegeta, not to be outdone, unleashed his own transformation, his body radiating with a similar silver aura as he achieved the same form. The two Saiyans stood side by side, their power levels skyrocketing as they prepared to face their foe. Frieza's Cell, however, was not intimidated. "You think your new forms will save you?" it taunted, its voice dripping with malice. "I'll crush you both." It charged forward, its movements even faster than before, but Goku and Vegeta were ready. They met the attack head-on, their fists colliding with Frieza's Cells in a series of explosive impacts that shook the very fabric of reality. The battlefield became a blur of motion as the three combatants clashed, their movements too fast for the naked eye to follow. Goku and Vegeta fought with a synergy they had never achieved before, their attacks perfectly coordinated as they pushed Frieza's cell to its limits. But the fused villain was not so easily defeated. It began to adapt, its movements becoming more unpredictable as it countered every attack with brutal efficiency. Goku and Vegeta found themselves on the defensive, their bodies battered and bruised as they struggled to keep up. "We need to end this now," Goku shouted, his voice strained as he dodged a devastating energy blast. Vegeta nodded, his expression grim. "Agreed. Let's finish this together." The two Saiyans clasped hands, their energy merging into a single, massive sphere of power. "Final Kamehameha," they shouted in unison, unleashing the attack with everything they had. The energy blast tore through the air, its sheer power overwhelming Frieza Cell's defenses. The fused villain roared in defiance as it was engulfed in the attack, its body disintegrating under the sheer force of the energy. But even as the light faded, Goku and Vegeta knew the fight wasn't over. Frieza Cell's voice echoed through the battlefield, its tone filled with rage. "You think this is the end? I'll destroy everything you hold dear." It screamed, its energy flaring as it prepared one final, desperate attack. Goku and Vegeta, their bodies battered but unbroken, stood ready. "This ends now," Goku said, his voice firm as he raised his hand, a sphere of silver energy forming in his palm. Vegeta did the same, his own energy merging with Goku's as they prepared to unleash their ultimate attack. "For Earth, for our families, and for the universe," they shouted, their voices echoing with determination. The energy blast surged forward, colliding with Frieza Cell's attack in a cataclysmic explosion that lit up the sky. The battlefield was consumed in light, the sheer force of the impact shaking the planet to its core. When the dust settled, Frieza Cell was gone, its energy completely obliterated. Goku and Vegeta collapsed to their knees, their bodies exhausted but victorious. The Z fighters gathered around them, their faces filled with relief and admiration. "We did it," Goku said, his voice barely above a whisper. Vegeta smirked, his pride evident even in his weakened state. "Of course we did. We're Saiyans, after all." The battle was over, but the scars it left behind would remain forever, a testament to the strength and resilience of those who fought to protect the universe. The battlefield was a swirling maelstrom of energy, the air thick with the scent of burning earth and the crackling of ki blasts. Frieza and Cell, now fused into a monstrous entity known as Frieza Cell, towered over the shattered landscape, their combined power radiating like a supernova. Their laughter echoed across the desolate plains, a chilling reminder of their overwhelming dominance. Goku, now transformed into a colossal silver-haired great ape, roared with primal fury, his eyes blazing with determination. The stakes had never been higher, and the fate of the universe hung in the balance. The battle began with a deafening clash as Goku lunged forward, his massive fist slamming into Frieza Cell's armored chest. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through the atmosphere, but the fused tyrant barely flinched. With a smirk, Frieza Cell retaliated, their tail whipping around to strike Goku's side with bone-crushing force. Goku staggered, his silver fur bristling as he struggled to maintain his footing. "Is that all you've got, monkey?" Frieza Cell sneered, their voice a grotesque blend of Frieza's arrogance and Cell's cold precision. Goku growled, his fists tightening as he channeled every ounce of his energy. "I'm just getting started," he muttered, his voice low and resolute. The fight escalated into a blur of motion, each combatant pushing their limits to the brink. Goku's silver aura flared brighter with every attack, his great ape form granting him immense strength but also testing his control. Frieza Cell, on the other hand, moved with terrifying efficiency, their attacks a perfect fusion of Frieza's ruthless cunning and Cell's calculated brutality. Energy blasts collided in mid-air, creating explosions that lit up the sky like a storm of stars. The ground beneath them cracked and crumbled, unable to withstand the sheer force of their battle. As the fight raged on, Goku's allies watched from a distance, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and hope. Vegeta, battered but unbowed, clenched his fists as he observed the struggle. "Kakarot. You'd better not lose," he muttered, his pride warring with his concern. Gohan, his hair still tinged with the remnants of his Super Saiyan 2 form, stood beside his father, his eyes wide with awe and determination. "Dad. You can do this," he whispered, his voice trembling with emotion. Even Piccolo, ever the stoic strategist, found himself holding his breath as the battle reached its crescendo. Goku, however, was beginning to falter. The strain of maintaining his great ape form while channeling his Super Saiyan energy was taking its toll. His movements grew sluggish, and his attacks lacked their earlier precision. Frieza Cell seized the opportunity, their attacks growing more relentless. "You're running out of steam, Saiyan," they taunted, their voice dripping with malice. "This is the end for you." Goku gritted his teeth, his mind racing. He knew he couldn't keep this up much longer. He needed something more, something beyond even his current limits. It was in that moment of desperation that Goku's mind flashed back to his training, to the lessons he had learned from his mentors and the battles he had fought. He remembered King Kai's words about pushing beyond the impossible, and Vegeta's relentless drive to surpass his limits. Most of all, he thought of his friends and family, of the countless lives that depended on him. A surge of determination coursed through him, and his silver aura began to shift, its light intensifying into a blinding radiance. This isn't over yet, Goku roared, his voice echoing with newfound strength. The transformation was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. Goku's silver fur began to shimmer with a golden hue, his great ape form shrinking and morphing into something entirely new. His body became more streamlined, his muscles rippling with power, and his hair lengthened into a flowing mane of silver and gold. This was Super Saiyan 10, a form that transcended all previous limits, a fusion of primal strength and divine energy. The air around him crackled with electricity, and the ground trembled beneath his feet. Frieza's Cell's smirk faltered for the first time, their confidence wavering in the face of Goku's newfound power. The final phase of the battle was a spectacle of raw power and unyielding will. Goku moved with blinding speed, his attacks landing with devastating precision. Frieza's Cell fought back with everything they had, but their attacks were no match for Goku's overwhelming strength. The fused tyrant unleashed a barrage of energy blasts, but Goku deflected them with ease, his aura acting as an impenetrable shield. With a roar, Goku charged forward, his fist slamming into Frieza's Cell's chest with a force that shattered the very fabric of reality. The impact sent the tyrant hurtling backward, their body cracking and splintering under the strain. Frieza's Cell struggled to rise, their form flickering as the fusion began to destabilize. This can't be. They screamed, their voice a mixture of rage and disbelief. Goku stood tall, his eyes blazing with determination. "It's over," he said, his voice calm but resolute. He raised his hand, a sphere of energy forming in his palm. The sphere grew larger and larger, its light illuminating the battlefield. With a final cry, Goku hurled the energy sphere at Frieza's Cell, the blast engulfing them in a blinding explosion. When the light faded, Frieza's Cell was gone, their presence erased from existence. The battlefield fell silent, the only sound the faint crackling of energy in the air. Goku's transformation faded, and he collapsed to his knees, his body trembling with exhaustion. His allies rushed to his side, their faces filled with relief and admiration. "You did it, Dad," Gohan said, his voice choked with emotion. Vegeta, ever the rival, crossed his arms and smirked. "Not bad, Kakarot. Not bad at all." The aftermath of the battle brought profound changes to the universe. The defeat of Frieza's Cell marked the end of an era of tyranny, and the balance of power shifted in ways no one could have predicted. Goku's actions had not only saved countless lives but it also inspired a new generation of warriors to rise and protect the universe. The bonds between the Z fighters grew stronger, their shared experiences forging an unbreakable camaraderie. As for Goku, the battle had changed him in ways he could hardly comprehend. He had pushed himself beyond his limits, achieving a form that no Saiyan had ever dreamed possible. But more than that, he had proven that even in the face of overwhelming odds, the power of determination and the strength of one's spirit could overcome any obstacle. As he looked out over the horizon, his heart filled with a quiet sense of peace. The fight was over, for now. But Goku knew that as long as there were threats to the universe, he would be ready to face them, no matter the cost.